Yo, this is Terrance Gaines, aka Brother Tech,
And this is Nica Montford, aka Tech Savvy Diva.
and welcome back to the Snob OS Show, the show for Apple snobs, where we talk all things Apple and then some. We definitely want to welcome you back. This is episode 245 of the Snob OS Show. This is going to be our last show of the year. We're going to take a quick little break for the Christmas week, and then we'll be back bright and early, the first or the third, I guess, would be of January, where the first Wednesday of the month. So we will be back, but we did not want to leave you without a show. So we definitely want to thank you for hanging in there for so long. Thank you for the reviews. Thank you for the downloads. Thank you for the shares. We definitely appreciate it. Every little bit counts. If you want to step it up a little bit more, you can go to patreon.com/snoboscast, become a financial supporter in for your thanks for being a supporter. We give you some exclusive content. You get to listen to the show early, and you get to get in on our conversations. We talked about in the exclusive show about our holiday plans, all those good things. So you don't get that if you're not a part of the Patreon community, who we lovingly call the Snobbists. So definitely go to patreon.com/snoboscast and get in on that. We're going to get right into the show. We always start off with a lowdown where we talk all things Apple. And there's already another update to iOS 17.2. We really don't know what's going on about iOS 17.2.1, but you might as well go ahead and get it. Apple has pretty much got you in the habit of doing an update every 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
just go ahead and every 2 weeks, just go ahead and update your devices. Again, we don't know exactly what's going on. It just says, according to Apple, this update provides important bug fixes and is recommended for all users. Doesn't say anything about security fixes. There's no sort of, exploits of any sort of security things. But like I mentioned, you should already be trained to update every 2 weeks. So just go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
There is a iOS 17.2.1. If you are not, there's also Safari 17.2 and iOS 16.7.4. If you have a device that's not compatible with iOS 17, there's also a macOS 14.2.1. So again, like I said, we don't know what's going on. They don't mention any specific bugs or security patches. Apple just says is recommended for all users.
Yeah. It's been a rough week. We're gonna talk about it more, but it's been a rough week in Apple land. We'll talk, like you said, we'll talk about some other things, but I know I saw there was an outage earlier today as well on Apple Pay, Apple
Oh no, I didn't see
Wallet.
that.
Yeah, I saw it. I can't remember where I saw it, but yeah, like the three basically, it was Apple Card, Apple Pay, and one other thing. Shoot, I don't know if I bookmarked it or not, but yeah,
Says
it was.
it looks like Apple has resolved this outage that you're mentioning. It mentioned affecting its payment features, Apple Pay, Apple Card, Apple Cash, and the wallet. They experienced an outage from 6 a.m. to 6:15 a.m. to 6:49 a.m. on Wednesday. We record on Wednesdays, but you're listening to us on Friday. So Wednesday for about a half hour, maybe,
Yeah,
a little over a half
45
hour.
minutes. Yeah,
Yeah, Apple Pay, Apple Card, Apple Cash, and Apple Wallet all experienced an outage. Company system status page says the issues were fixed roughly around 10 o'clock. On
yeah,
Wednesday, Apple Pay and Wallet outage says it specifically affected web and in-app payment features. So if you were one of those people for that half hour, 45 minutes that couldn't buy something, which is crazy because it's holiday season, people are probably online trying to buy stuff like crazy in
yep,
hopes that it either A, gets to their house on time for Christmas, or they waited too late and can't get anything online. So now they got to rush out and get everything in the store. So this is a
yeah,
bad timing
yeah,
for, if you buy things using your card, using Apple Cash, using Apple Pay and Apple Wallet, anything. as it relates to finances. You're sweating for those 30,
You was
45
like, "Oh my
minutes.
God, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? What's
Right,
wrong?"
right.
And it seems like a short amount of time, which in time it relatively is. But if you're checking out and you can't, those are probably the longest 30 minutes trying to figure out, oh my God, what's going on? And like, oh my God,
And
I hope it'll run out, going back and forth, like, oh my God, what's going on? Kind of freaking out.
or the embarrassment of the people thinking you're a brokey because your
You
because your card
overspent.
ain't going right, because your card ain't going through, and everybody ain't got two or three or four credit cards and be like, oh, this one
Right.
ain't working. Oh, let me put it on this
Let's
one.
try this one.
Right, right. If your Apple card ain't working and
Or
you
if you
try to
got all
do
of your cards in Apple Wallet. Because I
and you
know I have
don't,
multiple
all right,
cards in Apple Wallet.
all right, all right. Yep, Apple
Rough,
got you
man.
out here looking broke because
Looking like a
they.
brokey at Christmas.
Yep. So it looks like that stuff is back up, but like Nika said, that just adds to the checklist of already things that are happening with Apple. We're going to move on to the next one. Apple Watch ban. If you're listening to this on Friday, that means you no longer can buy an Apple Watch 9 or an Apple Watch Ultra 2. The reason why the ban is because Apple, there's this company called, where are they
Starts with an
at?
M.
Where is it at? Anyway, this company, Massimo,
Yeah.
Massimo, back in 2012, Apple had a meeting with this company. The company said after the meeting, Apple poached some of their talent and also stole the idea or the execution of the blood oxygen sensor.
It's a blood sensor, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So Apple then put that into their phones. So this company in Massimo said, "Nah, what you're not gonna do is take my talent and take my ideas." So they sued them, and then as a result of that, there was this ban for the Apple Watch 9 and the Apple Watch Ultra 2 due to this patent dispute. As of Thursday, which would be yesterday, December 21st, and in retail locations until December 24th. So if you try to buy anything on Apple's website, the Apple Watch 9 or the Ultra 2 will not be available. Maybe if you run into the store or, Best Buy or any place else that sells them new, you may be able to
Mhm.
get them. But as a result of this patent dispute ban, you can no longer buy an Apple Watch 9 or a Apple Ultra 2. So I'm curious as to how you think this is going to be. Apple's going to be affected by this. Again, couldn't be happening at the worst
Yeah.
possible time. How do you think this is going to affect Apple's holiday sales, which is big in retail?
So I was looking at this when it was happening, and of course, people have all the things to say, but apparently, Apple has all the money. I mean, all the money, and they were throwing it around. So they poached, I believe, the CTO, and
Mm-hmm.
they poached a lot of the other engineers. And not only did they poach them, they doubled their salary. So whatever Massimo was paying them, they was like, you know what, we're gonna put two on it if you just come on over here. And so, in addition to, I'm pretty sure they're pissed about the tech, but I think what they're likely more pissed about is the talent. So when you lose like the main talent behind one of your biggest products, and not only lose them, but lose them by someone doubling their salary, that's like a hard pill to swallow. It's one thing you take my tech, but then you take my people too, and you make it rain on them and make us look like we're brokies. Again, the brokies, Apple of making people look like brokies. And it's one of those things where it's like Apple was working on a patch the last I saw to fix the issue. I don't think that's come out, and I don't know if that was a suitable fix. It's kind of all this is kind of like up in the air. But the biggest thing is, like you said, if people aren't really aware, because this is tech news, this is pretty technical. If you're not in the ecosystem, if you don't know what's going on, and you're a late shopper and you haven't bought your Christmas gifts already, and you're trying to go out and buy something last minute, say an Apple Watch, that will probably have the biggest impact on the sales. But I'm thinking a little bit further. I'm thinking post Christmas when people get their Christmas money. Or, it's like,
Tax
oh, I
time.
got these gift cards. I got, Black Friday sales. I got money to spend. That's where I think they're probably going to lose the bulk of the money if they don't have this resolved by what Christmas is Monday, Black Friday is Tuesday. So if they don't have this resolved Tuesday by either having a patch that does that either disengages or changes this feature until they can get it worked out,
Yeah. So
or
basically what they have to do is an oxygen sensor. Basically, what Apple would have to do is develop new versions of the oxygen sensor, software fixes, whatever the case may be, so they can not include any of these patents or any sort of technical things that Apple is alleged to have poached from this Massimo company. If
so is
Apple
it
can do
hardware
that,
and software? Is the sensor an actual
well,
piece of
don't
hardware?
know, don't know.
That's what I was trying to figure out, and I couldn't tell.
Right. But Apple would have to redevelop how it does its oxygen sensors so they can then sell the Apple Watch 9 and the Apple Watch Ultra 2. Now, if you already have an Apple Watch 9 or an Apple Watch Ultra 2, the oxygen sensor will work. It's not like they're turning off the technology. Apple has, or the International Trade Commission has put this ban on the sale of these watches, so you can't buy a new one
So it's
until Apple
no
figures it out.
new. Yeah.
Yeah, no new ones. But if you got one, the oxygen sensor will work. They just can't stop. They can stop them from making new money, basically.
Do you think
So,
Apple just throw a bunch of money at them and say, "Here, we'll buy it"?
well,
Thanks.
they could have done that because according to this, a quick fix would be to license the technology from Massimo. If Massimo's saying this and this and this is what's causing these Apple Watch's oxygen sensors to work. If Apple just says, all right, well, we'll license the technology from you, Massimo, they can argue back and forth about how much it costs to license it. But technically, yes, they could just throw a bunch of money at it. But my question is, I would have been did that. I wonder why maybe
Get
Apple.
away with. Maybe they thought it was enough to bring over the CTO and some of the engineers that worked on this. They probably brought over the whole team that worked on this because they knew what the deal was. It's like, let's bring them over and pay them and have them work on it. So technically, the people who created it
All right,
are
over
the
here with
ones that
us.
are working on it. Right. I think
Right.
that's probably the intent. But if Massimo holds, like, I know people at my job, they would do work. Mostly a lot of the people that I work with, the data scientists, they would create algorithms. They would create these completely unique things that have never been done before. And through the company, they would get it patented. Their name would be on the patent, but the company name would also be on the patent. So it could be patent to these individuals. Then their names could be on this patent, but it is still owned. The primary, I guess, patenter, patentee, whatever you want to call them, is that company. So therein lies the product of that. Even though if I created something else, like, yes, I have 5 patents, but it's from work that I did working at somewhere else. I still have those patents. I'm still in those patents, but the company whose money paid my salary to create them still have, I guess, the whole of the ownership of it. I
Right.
think
And
that's how that works.
right. I just think Apple didn't think it would get this far to this ban. Now Apple is, shook because now they can't sell any watches or their latest watches during the holiday season. And I don't think they're going to lose a bunch of money as far as sales. What they're going to do is lose a lot of money as far as their stock price because people are going, this is going to affect their shareholder. The shareholders are going to look negatively on this. And as a result, their stock price will go down a little bit. It looks like
Temporarily, I think it'll bounce back.
right. But again, Apple shares fell slightly down from zero point 0.9 and Massimo's stock rose 3%. But the reason why that 3%, 0.9% doesn't sound like a lot, but it seems like this is starting to become a trend for Apple that according to the story, Apple investors should be prepared for a fifth straight decline in year over year quarterly revenue. So every year around this time, you would think Apple be making money hand over fist as far as their revenue, but for the fifth straight decline in year over year quarterly revenue, seems like this is a trend that's appearing. And again, it couldn't be happening at the worst time, which is the holiday season when people are spending money. So Apple is definitely going to have to rectify this situation, i.e., make Massimo and them happy. Maybe Massimo and them will take some money, or maybe they may, as the young kids are saying now, stand on business and say, no, we're going to take this all the way to the court because we're petty like that, and we want to prove a point that you can't just steamroll us like that. Hopefully, not hopefully. In Apple's case, hopefully that's not the case, but they've gotten this far to actually force the government to put a ban on Apple watches. So that may be a good sign for them to keep going.
And I just did a little Googles, and the CEO, Joe Kiani, apparently he's telling Bloomberg that he's open to settling.
Okay.
But it quote takes two to tango. So it sounds to me that Apple may not be ready to play ball.
And I think Apple thought again that clearly the government was going to step in. And when the government was like, nah, we're good. Now Apple's going to have to go back to the huddle and figure something out.
Yeah. And again, it's probably going to be dropping off some dollar bills to the Massimo.
Yep. All right. So moving on to the next story. I thought this was interesting. Apple never really said why the Power Mat, they abandoned it, but it looks like maybe they bit off a little bit more than they can chew because functional AirPower prototypes have been unearthing and showing up on the internet. And the prototypes have had some severe thermal problems, including burning or melting devices placed on the charging pad that ultimately led to Apple to abandon the project altogether. So it seems like, and I titled this Apple was doing too much, because my first thought in reading this was, well, if the devices are burning up on Apple's AirPower Mat, why aren't they also burning up on all these other charger things to where you can plug up or you can connect or put multiple devices? Because I've got them in my house. I've got one that charges my iPhone, it charges my Apple Watch, and it charges my AirPods all at the same time. And it's like, well, how is these companies figuring it out and Apple's not figuring it out? Well, because Apple was doing too much. They was trying to set it up to where you can put your phone, your watch, or your AirPods on any of the coils. So if there was like a long pad and there was like 4 or 5 or 6 coils kind of huddled together, anywhere you place your phone, your watch, your AirPods on there, it would automatically charge. When these other products on the market, you can't do that, right? The Apple Watch charger is kind of built for the Apple Watch charger. The MagSafe charger is built for the iPhone. And then the AirPods have like the key QI charging pad that's really not conducive of anything else, right? Apple was trying to set it up to where no matter where you put any device, it would charge. Any device that had a screen like your Apple Watch or your iPhone, you could actually see on screen, the other devices being charged. And they was trying to do, when the iPhone charges and it's at a certain level, it automatically cut off and it won't charge anymore and let the other devices charge. Well, all that led into, these AirPower Mats catching on fire and burning up other products. So instead of, which is what I would assume Apple would have did, dial it back and make a version just like these other ones. Anker makes them, Belkin makes them, 12 South makes them, Nomad makes them. These are all Apple accessory makers that have flourished, making these desktop nightstand chargers that charge multiple devices. Just put out a product to compete with them, don't necessarily feel like you got to blow them out of the water with all this Apple technology. Now you're doing too much. Now you ain't got nothing to show for it instead of dialing it back and saying, let's just do this.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, I just thought that story was interesting because, of course, you were a big advocate of it.
I was.
Yeah. So,
I
and now,
was. And so if you need to become a patron to get this reference, but when we talked earlier, it's like, feeling yourself. Of
mm-hmm,
course, they didn't want to be like everyone else. A lot of times when you're at the top of your industry, a lot
mm-hmm,
of time engineers, they do not want to be quote unquote regular. They don't want to be
mm-hmm,
the same as anyone else. So we got to kick it up a notch.
mm-hmm,
And this is what happens to that. So my second degree is in electrical engineering. One of the kind of set of courses we had to take was a power distribution course. And we were actually working with and programming these like huge like turbines. The lab was just like in this big, almost like a big warehouse. And it had all of these transformers and like all of these dials with powers. We shocked ourselves a lot. It was like zzz. It wasn't a huge shock, but it was a little jit. It was a little zzz.
mm-hmm,
And so when we first talked about the AirPower Mat, I was a huge proponent of it. And the more we heard, it made sense to me why they were having issues. It
mm-hmm,
sounds to me the biggest issue was related to power distribution. And
mm-hmm,
that's one of the key issues when you're talking about charging, because it would be one thing if they had this mat and they had like a delineator, one line delineator, just like a little perforated line, another perforated line, and you had three different places you could put your device on interchangeably.
mm-hmm,
That's fine. That's pretty much what the other, power stations, power docks have.
mm-hmm,
Like you said, with what Apple was trying to do, they were trying to make it so robust where you could just kind of like plop your AirPods or plop your phone or plop your
mm-hmm,
watch down. And no matter where you put it on that power mat, it would charge it.
mm-hmm,
And the other part of that is it was working with the distribution. So it may charge up if you want it to say equally to distribute the power, so that say if your Apple Watch is on 50%, your phone is on 20%, and your AirPod case was on 75. If you wanted to balance that load out where
mm-hmm,
it says, let me charge these equally so that they finish charging at the same time, because you likely think if I'm putting all my stuff in there, say at night, I want them all to charge at the same time. That's
mm-hmm,
another wrinkle in the plan, because you have to calculate for where the device is and what level the device charge is, and how to divide that distribution of power to determine at what rate do you need to charge each of these devices so that they finish charging at the same time. If that was one of the use cases, I presume it probably is. The other thing
mm-hmm,
is moving these things around on this mat. Of course, if it melted these devices, it appears as if certain parts of it were heating faster than the
mm-hmm,
other parts and overheating it and melting it. Again, it's all about the distribution of power on these mats. If these coils are all the same, it doesn't take the same amount of power to charge an AirPod case that it would to charge an iPhone, because the AirPods, they're not really doing that much. You charge them
mm-hmm,
up, boom, you're done. But with the iPhone, you got a whole slew of components that you have to make sure hit certain temperature points, because if it goes up, it could fry whatever chip is on this board. So
mm-hmm,
it's a very, very complicated, a very involved, intricate process when you're factoring in how this thing powers. How does it charge? The power coming into it, for the power to come up from it to charge your devices, in addition to the different components on each of these different devices and the type of heat that they can handle to to charge and not destroy any chips or any functionality or any of the plastic or metal that are on these. And like you said, they were doing too much. It was a huge undertaking. And rather than saying, you know what, we're going to go dial it back and be like everybody else, they're like, you know what, we're going to scrap it. If we can't be the best, if we can't be the elite, if we can't blow them out of the water, we ain't doing it. And then
Yeah,
there you have it.
right. But even still, though, with that, they went from the AirPower Mat to the MagSafe charger, which is
Mm-hmm.
almost like you started with the AirPower Mat at the top.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of iterating down to something in the middle to where you can charge multiple things, but you just can't place it anywhere and it doesn't have the fancy screens that let you calculate and all that crap,
Mm-hmm.
right? Instead of stopping in the middle and saying, all right, we're going to put out a product that competes with some of the heavy hitters currently out there, I think, in my opinion, they went a step below that and did the MagSafe, which works great when you're just connecting your phone.
Mm-hmm.
Like if if they got the MagSafe to where you can put it on the hook on the in your car and it snaps in there and it's really secure, right? And that works with the wallets, the MagSafe wallets. You slap it on the back of your phone, that's compatible and it's real secure, so you don't have to worry about it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they've got the little MagSafe hockey puck to where you have the cable and you snap that on the back of your phone and it works just fine. But it just works for pretty much for the iPhone. There's no MagSafe compatible for the AirPods. There's no MagSafe compatible for the Apple Watch, which to me, in my opinion, is you went from a device that could charge multiple devices at the same time to maybe just having it just charge things without the special stuff to the very bottom where we're just going to put out MagSafe that charges one thing at a time. And it's almost like they went from, well, we want to be the best to where now we're just generic to,
But
to me.
yeah, I think it was intentional because I think they wanted to get everybody's mind completely off AirPower Mat. So
Hmm.
anything that was in between what they had originally planned and the
Hmm.
MagSafe, anything in the middle, it would still, oh, well, what happened? It would remind them of their epic failure
Failure, right.
on this AirPower Mat. So it's
Hmm.
like, so let's give them something that's really great. It's
But has
basically
nothing to do
single
with Air
use.
Power Mat.
Right. Right. It's still a charger. It works fantastic, but it doesn't have anything to do with the AirPower Mat. So let's hope,
Right.
if we get far enough down the road, people will forget about it. And then they'll just talk about how amazing MagSafe is.
Okay. All right. Going on to the last story in the lowdown. If you are a family like myself who has iCloud family sharing turned on, the benefit of family sharing is I only have to buy an app, or I only have to buy a movie, or I only have to buy a ringtone or whatever from the App Store or from the iTunes at the time. It was iTunes. All I had to do was buy it one time. With the family sharing turned on, I could share that app, I could share that movie, ringtone, whatever with my family, and they don't have to pay again. Well, it looks like there was like a little bit of wrinkle, maybe some misleading documentation or some wording was a little misleading because there was some situations to where even if family sharing plan was turned on, Apple developers or not app developers were are allowed to opt out of the plan, meaning not every app subscription can actually be shared among family members. Since Apple was saying any app that you download by whatever, you can share that with the family, it was a little misleading because there are some cases to where app developers said, nah, we don't want to be a part of family sharing. But Apple has kind of already sold it to people that you can automatically share these apps. And even though there was some exceptions, Apple didn't highlight there was these exceptions. So as a result, class action lawsuit, $25 million dollars, to where if you were if you used family sharing between June 21st, 2015 and January 30th, 2019, and you purchased a subscription to at least one non-Apple app during that time, you're eligible for a payout, which can be claimed if you go to the website. And we'll make sure we put the website in the show notes. But that seems like a large amount of people because all you have to be to qualify is you have to be using family sharing between 2015 and 2019, and you purchased a subscription to at least one non-Apple app. So that's like, I don't know, Hulu, Netflix, all these
Hmm.
streaming services that are subscriptions that you can actually purchase in the App Store. If you went through and did that and it's not Apple, but you have family sharing turned on, you could be eligible for a payout, which again, it ain't going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars. You may get $25. You may get
It's 30. It's
$12.
$30.
You get $30, right?
And my thing is that goes to show how many people were impacted because this is a $25 million payout, right? But each person only gets like it says you may be entitled to around $30. So that's a lot of people
Right. To
that
share $25 million.
yeah,
dollars.
yeah. And there's a lot of people that were affected because that is a lot of money. That's just under 800,000 people. If you do a strict, divide by the whatever. But yeah, that's a lot of people over the course of those 4 years, 3.5 years.
Yep. So you got until March 1st to claim your money. I'm definitely going to check and see, get my little $30 because I'm pretty sure I was using family sharing and I'm pretty sure I purchased a subscription to an app, while I was on family sharing. So see if I get my little money.
Get your $30.
Yep. But it just, again, all these stories kind of add to Apple Watch. Or Apple in general, they having a rough
week.
rough December.
It's rough out here.
Yep. All right, that's going to do it for the lowdown. We're going to move into second string where we talk all things tech. Maybe last week or the week before, I think it's maybe the week before, we kind of walked people off the ledge of of parents and the police sharing the ability that Apple released the new what does it call it? I call it the bump. What is it called?
Name
Contact
drop.
sharing? Name drop. That's what it's called. Name drop, people were saying, oh, if you got name drop turned on by default, somebody could take your contacts just by walking near you. Of course, that wasn't the case. We had to explain that name drop doesn't work that way. You got to jump through all these hoops before you can actually share a contact by just bringing your phone near somebody else's. Well, the tech scare du jour, is that right? Du jour of the day, is that right?
Yes, of the day.
Okay.
Yep.
The tech share du jour is QR code attacks. Some people were kind of freaked out and not necessarily as bad as the name drop thing, but there were stories spreading around the internet last week, maybe week before, to where be careful, don't just scan any QR codes, because if you scan any QR code, you could probably get linked to this malicious site and they'll steal all your stuff, right?
Right.
Technically that's right, but they went from the real threat is if you get an email from a site or a website or whatever the case may be, and in that email, it includes a QR code that you have to scan to confirm or to act upon this thing, be concerned about that, because that is technically email phishing, phishing.
Yes.
And email phishing has been around forever. They do it all the time. They come up with fake websites, like for instance, we're in the holiday season. You go to Best Buy to buy something, you recently shopped at Best Buy. You get an email from Best Buy saying, hey, we just want to let you know your purchase went through. If this is not you, click on this link, do this, right? Which in a lot of cases, the Best Buy will be wrong. The letterhead will look different, but it's enough for you to just freak out and just click it and then put in the rest of the information that they need. And then they steal your stuff, right?
Yes.
So instead of putting a link in an email, some of these scammers are now getting smart and putting QR codes in the phishing email, which again, no different than putting a link. Just instead of you clicking the link, you have to hold your phone up, scan it take you to a link. Same thing, right? So that's kind of on the uptick. Well, again, that spread like wildfire to where now it's like, don't scan no QR codes.
It's all QR codes.
Right. Like if you're going to eat at a restaurant and the restaurant has a QR code for you to download the menu, people were freaked out that, oh man, I need to see if I can peel this sticker back and see if this is a fake sticker that's going to have me go someplace to where it enters your information. Number one, they ain't thinking about you ordering no food, number one. And number two, if they were, and you scan, and they did put a fake sticker on a QR code at a menu, and you scanned it, and instead of you looking at the menu, they ask you for your email address and your phone number and your date of birth. Maybe you not need to put that in there.
Right. That even doesn't go. It doesn't match. It doesn't match.
Right. You know, so that's all. I just wanted to put that story out there. It's just, it's crazy how, you know, while important, yes, you should not just be going diligent around scanning stuff, right? Yeah. If it's, you know, if you just see a QR code on a light post, you know, on your morning walk, you probably shouldn't scan that, right?
Don't scan that.
You know, so yes, there are some things you should look out for as it relates to QR codes, but that don't necessarily mean all QR codes are bad. And, you know, if you're not technically inclined, you see stories like name drop and you see stories like QR codes, and sensibly speaking, yes, somebody could create a QR code and steal your stuff, but that don't mean all QR codes are bad. But to the non-tech person, they'll see this, they'll see this story and be like, whoop, I ain't scanning no more QR codes. So we can't go to
steal our accounts.
Right. So that means any restaurant that I walk into that has a menu behind a QR code, well, I guess we can't eat here. You're doing yourself
eat at Chili's.
Right. You're doing yourself a disservice for not doing the additional research, looking into it a little bit more. You know, you trust some of these websites, you trust the internet, which is crazy, but people trust the internet.
They do
anything they see on the internet is true, but you know, it does take a little bit of investigation. So we are here, the Snob OS, to let you know. We'll let you know if something out there that you need to be concerned about, and we'll also let you know, relax, this is not that deep. And this is one of those cases that it ain't that deep.
Yeah. But speaking of Christmas scams, this one is on the low tech end. I actually just saw this where one of the loss prevention officers or security people, I think he was in Target. The new scam is you buying gift cards. Again, if you're on the pre-show, you'd hear the conversation about the gift cards. If you are buying gift cards for family members, for friends, for yourself, for the holidays, they're saying to fill the full package because, you know, a gift card should be the size of a regular credit card or debit card. And what's happening is criminals are, because it's just adhesive, they're using like a little heat gun to undo the adhesive, snip off the part of the card that has the money, putting the remaining part of the card that just has like the scan code that when you go to check out, you know, they scan it so you can pay it. And they're putting it back in there and sealing it back. And it looks like
the card is in there.
The card is in there.
But once you buy it and activate it, the person that's got the actual card that took it out of the package then go runs it up. Okay.
Yep. They go and get it. So they're saying, just, you know, on the low tech, we are tech podcast, but we do have low tech stuff as well. So this holiday season, because scammers be scamming, especially during holiday time, just take a couple extra seconds, fill the full length of the gift card, or if you're still not sure, ask a person in the store to say, hey, I'm going to buy this, but I need to make sure that it's the full card in there. And I mean, honestly, as far as low tech scams go, that's actually a pretty good one, because how would you wouldn't know until the person you gave it to opened it.
Months or weeks later that they open it up and realize ain't no card in here. So now you scrambling to try to either get them another card, which, you know, you're already, since there was no card to begin with, you know, the company you call, they ain't just going to issue you a new card in many cases. So then you got to spend more money to get them a card, because I'd be like, oh man, ain't no card in there. That's crazy. You know, I ain't about to send you no more money.
Man,
but some people will.
I had something for you, but you know, scammers be scamming.
Right. So what are you going to do?
Right.
But definitely pay attention to stuff like, you know, QR codes. Be sure what you're scanning is what you mean to scan. And before you start entering information after you scan in anything, clicking a link to anything, make sure this is the information that you want to share with this particular company. And if you're not sure, just don't do it.
Be
In the
diligent,
right,
please, people.
even in the case with the gift cards that you mentioned, they're going low tech. Don't go buy physical credit card gift cards. Go to the website, which is what I did. I have a couple gift cards that I'm giving to people, and instead of going to the store with the little kiosk with all the gift cards that's in shambles, I'll go
Hmm.
to the website, buy a e-gift card, send it directly to them via text message or email. Then the recipient will get to redeem the card, and the card will be on their phone, or they'll have a barcode that they'll get to scan anytime they want to use the card. They just scan the barcode or add it to their Apple Wallet and use it that way. Again, it's not a physical gift, and I know there are people that want to give something tangible for Christmas, but I ain't trying to give you, the way the gift card thing works, you ain't getting untangible anyway if they take the card out of the thing. So how's that different
Right,
than me sending you a text message on Christmas saying Merry Christmas, click this link to redeem your gift card? Ain't no
right,
different. All right, so
right.
that is going to do it for second string. We're going to move into for the culture, where we talk anything culturally relevant or whatever we want to talk about. I wanted to ask, have you played around or have you used Spill? Spill. It's the.
So I got it when it very first came out. I got an access code. I went in, I commandeered my handle as I do with all new sites. So I keep all my things across the thing, and that's all I did. I have
So I
been back,
actually.
and it's been months.
So I've used it here and there. I'm not as heavy on it as I am on some other platforms, but I made some efforts to follow some people, comment. But since it was at the time of me using it, it was in beta. Like you mentioned, you had to get a invite code from somebody or somewhere, which it wasn't hard to get to, but you just had to, you had to do some work, and people
Know
don't do work
somebody.
nowadays. Right,
Yeah.
right. You had to know somebody. So once you do that, you get in, and it was only available on iOS.
Right.
So at the time of me using it, you had to jump through the hoops to get it, and it wasn't available to everybody. They were still brand new. If you don't know the story, two ex Twitter employees left the company. We not feeling it, so they started their own social media app to where it's kind of like a mix between, I want to say, Tumblr and maybe it kind of reminds me of Tumblr, but less text. So you don't. It's not mini blog. It's not micro blogging on Spill, but they've got their own little language over there at Spill. It's two minority ex-employees who wanted to build this platform that was more open to people who kind of felt some kind of way as a result of Elon Musk buying Twitter, changing it to X, and then letting all these people run amok and do crazy things. Spill, Blue Sky, Mastodon, Threads were all a part of this after post X, exodus, right?
Right.
Well, Spill is doing good. They've raised money. I think they've got, I want to say, almost 7 million, 5 to 7 million raised so
Nice.
far. They have reached their 1 year anniversary, and now they have opened up to an open beta. So it's not private beta. All you got to do is go to the App Store and download Spill. You don't have to request a code. You don't have to know somebody to give you a code. And Spill has now opened up to Android users. So anybody with an Android can now download the platform. So I just wanted to bring it up because they're slowly but surely chugging along. Like I said, the times that I've been on Spill has been very pleasant. The people know why they're over there. They're over there specifically because they wanted to escape the shit show that was Twitter and X. So the conversations are more pleasant. People they do a good job of making it so with their lingo on how they, do hashtags to where you can find your quote unquote tribe. Similar to how TikTok, if you're on TikTok, you go to
Book
what
talk
yeah, book
or
talk or watch talk or anime talk or
yeah.
auto, you kind of search on that.
Find your people.
Spill, yeah, the Spill kind of has the same thing with the hashtags where you can find your group. Like I said, the conversations are not as toxic. There are not people over there just trying to cause issues as much. Like I said, they are more open to black, brown folks, marginalized folks, queer folks. Any of those people can come, and it makes it a social media platform,
Yeah.
in my opinion, in the true sense of a social media platform. It's like you're coming to be social, you're coming to network, you're coming to, take part in conversations based on subjects that you're interested in. So I just wanted to
Right.
shout them out because, like I said, they are slowly but surely
Nice.
going along. They don't have the same amount of money as a Mastodon or a Blue Sky or a Threads. They don't have the popularity. Most people, when they leave Twitter, they're thinking, okay, I'm going to Mastodon. If not Mastodon, going to Threads, right?
Yeah.
And I could see that as being a little discouraging for a
Yeah.
smaller startup like Spill, but it seems like they're doing all right. And, once I saw this story, I'm like, you know what? Let me get back more active on there, and actually put forth the effort. Because again, what I don't want to believe that everybody was on Twitter because of drama. I
Yeah.
don't want to believe that the only way social media platforms can survive is if they cater to,
Toxicity. Toxicity.
toxicity. Yes. And, the drama and all the things that people left Twitter for. I want to believe that a social media platform can thrive without all of that stuff that they have to, deal with. So just wanted to put that out there. They're still going and they're now open beta and they're on Android. So there should be a lot more conversations, and that's another hard thing about a social network is, trying to get the engagement because
Yeah.
everybody is in such a hurry when a new platform comes out. Everybody in such a hurry to make a name for themselves on the platform that there's really no engagement. It's kind of like, just follow me, follow me, follow me, follow
Yeah.
me. And that's how Spill kind of was in the beginning. Follow
Yeah.
me and I'll follow back, follow train. And it's like, well, I don't necessarily need to just follow you just because you asked. What is
Yeah.
your content like? So it's kind of hard to get a network with enough content to where I can go on there and it's like, oh, this is interesting. Oh, these people who I've commented on this are also interesting. Let me get in on it versus look at me. I was the first person on Spill, so follow me, but I really don't really know or care about any sort of content, if that
Hmm.
makes any sense. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping
It
they
does.
go ahead.
No, I say
Now,
it does, and I hope. I'm actually going to plan to spend some more time on there. When Spill came out, it was a part of the, like you mentioned, the exodus from Twitter,
mhm,
and the hubbub all around it, and it was just like new social media app here. This is replacement. This is replacement, and it just got overwhelming. It was
mhm,
way too many apps. It was way too
mhm,
many, let's go here, let's go there. And it was a lot. But at the same time, for me, like I said, for brand continuity, it's like, let me go over there, get my handle, and then I'll go
mhm,
back. I never did because it was like, what's the term they use? Um, Not overexposure, stimulation,
mhm,
overstimulation. It
mhm,
was just way too much. And it was just like blaring horns coming from everywhere. And then, unfortunately for me, Spill just kind of got lost in the shuffle of
mhm,
that. But, now that you mention it, I did see some emails from them. And you know what? It's, two black guys, two black techies who created this and
mhm,
are,
mhm.
it appears by all accounts doing well. As you mentioned, that the platform seems very um,
It's stable. It's not.
stable. It's not chaotic
Mhm,
or
mhm,
all the bad things. So
mhm.
definitely, I'm definitely going to make that a part of my social media rotation. So
Yeah,
good
yeah,
look at it.
yeah.
I'm calling that out.
Yep. And some of the things that they've done recently, in addition to opening the Android and coming out of private beta, they unveiled a quote unquote tea party feature, which allows users to have live conversations via audio
Hmm.
or video. So think about going live. You can kind of go live on Spill.
Or a
And
space on Twitter. Yeah.
right, right, right. And the first person to do it was actress Kerry Washington. which
Nice.
she did a little interview slash press run about her new memoir. So they're coming along again. It's not mass, and I think that's what people are waiting on, which kind of does networks like this a disservice. Everybody's waiting on everybody else to be over there. The old black colloquialism. Who's all over
Who
there?
all gonna be? Who all gonna be over there?
Who all's over there? Who all gonna be there? I think everybody's kind of waiting on that. And again, it's not gonna work unless people make the sacrifice to go over there and cultivate. You just can't just show up and the party already be jumping. You got to be one of the people that get to the party on time and help them put chairs up and help them organize the place settings. You can't be the late person to come to the party and it's already jumping. Everybody already got some
And you're like,
liquor
oh
in them
yeah.
and the wobble is already playing. You can't then come to the party. You got to come to the party early while they're still trying to set stuff up, and you're going to have to volunteer your time to help them set it up. So I'm going to take it on amongst myself to do a better job on there and staying over there on the regular, because I'll be honest, I am slowly but surely saying, all right, I'm just going to get off Twitter, because I am kind of over there sometimes. We promote the show over there, and every once in a while when I'm just like really mindlessly so I have free time to where I can't necessarily, like, my issue with Instagram and TikTok is as soon as you open it up, it's a video in most cases.
Yeah.
Twitter is still the place to where I can just read stuff. I don't necessarily have to be bombarded with videos and spaces and audio. It's just like people are still kind of posting.
It's still microblogging, basically.
Exactly. So when I've got some free time and I don't have my AirPods and I'm not in a place that's conducive to where I can sit down and listen to something, I can still kind of get on Twitter and just read. Spill is kind of like that as well, to where, you still can kind of get in. It's GIFs, there's video, but it's mostly kind of like text, microblogging, like you mentioned. So, my whole thing is, I'm getting to the place where I need to get off of Twitter, as well.
The ads are insane. They are insane, and I'm over it. It's like 3 broad ads. I thought it was one, but it's 3 different ones. And every other post is like this ad. I can't block and not interest enough, but I am. Every single one. But I think also I think a big takeaway from Spill is slow and steady wins the race sometimes. And it seems like that's what they're trying to actually build a sustainable product, because when the exodus happened, we saw so many, rise and then crash of all these different apps. And that, now that it's been a year, they're still around, they're still building their followership, they're still raising money. So to me, it lends itself better to what we would hope out of a quote unquote Twitter replacement, because it appears by all accounts that they're doing it strategically, methodically, with the intent of being around for a long time.
Yeah. The only negative is, everybody's still trying to find everybody. And there are some people that's trying to, they're not necessarily engagement. They're just, they're
trying to get followers. And the other thing I was going to say is you have to get used to talking to nobody. Even I'm not the man on Twitter or Instagram or TikTok, but there are some things that I could post and I'll get a reply. Somebody will like it. Somebody will retweet it, or comment, right? It ain't 50,000 like some of these other people, but going to Spill and put something out there, you may put it out there and it's just out in the ether. You're talking into the void, and that's okay.
And for a lot of people, that's hard, because their sole purpose of posting on social media is to get that dopamine shot, that I'm important because I put this out there and people responded. And if you didn't put it out there, it wasn't, there are people who will.
Then you hate me. You don't really like me. I don't have any influence. I'm just a nobody.
Right, which is the big thing nowadays. Everybody wants influence. And, with Spill, you're going to have to cultivate. You're going to have to do traditionally what you're supposed to do to get a following. You actually have to comment. You actually have to follow subjects. You have to follow hashtags. You got to comment on somebody's stuff and not be looking for them to automatically follow you back or comment back. You have to actually you have to produce
Earn their fellowship.
and provide enough content to the platform so
Yeah.
then somebody else behind you will have access to all this stuff that you
Yeah.
didn't necessarily have access to. It seems like I feel like a lot of people are waiting for Spill to arrive and then everybody jump on because there's all this content, there's all this stuff, there's this community. No, you have to make the community. So I'm
Nobody
hoping
wants to
people,
show up to the party early.
right,
They want to
right.
get there, when it's in full
When it's
swing.
jumping. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so that is it for the culture. We're gonna move into the hookup, and this is a pretty handy feature if you have an Apple Watch and an iPhone. If you put your phone in for the ladies, you put it in a purse. If you're traveling and you've got it in your phone in a backpack or somewhere to where it's hard to reach, but you do have an Apple Watch and somebody calls you, there is a feature to where you can answer on your iPhone. So when the Apple Watch normally rings, you'll get the option to pick it up or you'll get the option to hang up, right? And that'll send it straight to voicemail. My tip for this week is there should be the ellipses button, which is the three dots. That is an option when somebody's calling, when an incoming call is coming. You can't set this up ahead of time. You have to do it at the time of somebody calling. But when somebody's calling, instead of answering the call on your watch, which you may not want to do because you may be busy somewhere and it's automatically on speakerphone, you may not want them problems, you
Right.
answering a call on speakerphone, right? But what you can do is if you tap the ellipses button, there's an option under the ellipses button to say answer on iPhone. And what that'll do is it'll answer the call, but it'll automatically put it on hold until you can get your phone, and then on your phone slide to answer, and then you can actually talk on the phone. So that is my tip for the week. If you can't find your phone but you actually want to answer the phone but you don't want to answer it on speakerphone on your Apple Watch, you can hit the ellipses button and select answer on iPhone, find your iPhone, and then answer the call. So that is my tip for the week. And if you don't have anything else, Nica, I think that it will do it for this week's show. And actually, technically, that'll do it for this
For the
year's
year.
show of the Snob OS. Again, I definitely want to thank everybody for following us, for listening to us, for helping us keep the show going. Again, you can always go to snoboscast.com to get all the details about the show. And like I just want to say, happy holidays to everybody. And Nica, tell the folks where they can find you until the new year.
You can find me at Tech Savvy Diva pretty much everywhere.
And you can find me at Brother Tech. That's BROTHATCEH. You can find us at SnobOScast as well. Again, not so much on Twitter, but we're also there as well. Maybe we'll spend the break setting up our SnobOScast profile
Plan.
on
Yeah.
Spill, right? And
Yeah, we're going to do a little
transfer.
bit more. Get ready for the new
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. But until then, like I said, you can go to snobboyscast.com, get all those details. And until 2024, we are out.
Merry
Peace.
Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year, Happy Winter Solstice, all the things. We will see you
All that good
guys
stuff.
when we come back in 2024.